I were on your team, if I were you were my product, I wouldn't let that stuff go out. I thought this was a good idea. This makes no sense at all.
Everything we started smaller.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm saying is don't start smaller. I believe the next challenge is for you.
I'm dreaming, oh, I believe in this dream I've been dreaming, oh, I'm dreaming, oh, I believe in this dream I've been dreaming, oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, friend of the channel, Mark Drager in the house. He is taking in a new role on this series because on our podcast, the Something to Prove podcast, I'm usually answering questions and he's the host. This time, I wanted to be able to pull out some of Mark Drager's insatiable wisdom.
Wow, I like that.
Right? To help me become a household name, because he is marketing Mark Drager. What do you got, Mark? Help me blow up. What are we doing?
Thank you. Well, you know what? I've been watching the series, and as you speak to your therapists, as you speak to your agents and the people who are helping you. And so first, we've talked about this. So I think you surround yourself with really extraordinary people when you bring them in as subject matter experts. But when I look at your team structure, when I look at how you've run your business and how you've grown your business, the first thought, and we spoke a little bit about this in the past, but the first thought I have is you surround yourself with experts outside of your organization.
Okay.
But as you're building up your team, because you build structure and you build process and you delegate and you love good people and you hold on to them, are you surrounding yourselves within your organization with leaders who push you? Is it that you are the leader and you have doers below you and you have thinkers outside of your company, but do you have the thinkers that you need that really push you inside your company, who are working for you 40, 50, 60 hours per week, where you and your brand are their only focus? That's the first thought I have, because it's different than the way you've run your company.
Leaders who push me inside my company? No.
Mm-hmm. And so, look at organizations, look at brands, look at personalities who blow up. They build the team around them where they're leaders, they're experts in their field, they are full-time, and the product that everyone is working towards is the name, is the personality, is the brand. And so as I think about this growth path that you're going on, I don't know if it's a mindset shift for you, if it's an investment shift, or if it's just a different way of operating, but I do see a gap in your organization in this way. I don't know if you agree or what you think about that.
I'm open. So who's the person I need to bring on next?
Well, so in terms of building out your, this is such a different side of Evan that I'm used to. The guy who just asks a question and then listens.
Let's go, Mark. Come on.
Let's go. Of course. And so first, as you're building out the personality and the brand, we need to focus on marketing. We need to focus on what the brand stands for. So do you have your ecosystem built out in terms of what your agent does? Of course, they're not with you. They're not on you 40, 50, 60 hours per week. You are not their number one product. They have other people. But do you think about what your agent does in terms of connecting with the right people? What we're doing in terms of PR, what we're doing in terms of brand building and marketing for your website, for your funnels, for your advertising, for your channel. Those are the main areas that I would focus on, but even your booker, the person who's booking the guests and making the connections with you, from a talent point of view, there are different channels that you communicate and platforms that you're building where you could place a full-time expert who has the connections, who knows the processes, who treats you as a product.
And I would think that on shows or to have people booked on my channel?
Both.
Okay. So,
but the philosophical question here, because you don't like to spend money until you're making money,
right?
And because you're at the top of your organization and then you build people below you, this is like an operational philosophical shift for you. To go out and invest a lot of money in building up the top of your team as opposed to just the bottom of your team, I think is a big shift. I'm not sure if it's something that you'd be comfortable with.
Well, I wouldn't go out and just invest a lot of money into it, but I like stepping into things. Everything can be started smaller.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm saying is don't start smaller. Pick one or two cornerstone, pivotal, key roles that have you see exponential growth by putting the right person in that area, and not starting smaller and building up, starting big.
So let's go down that road. Who's that person? You want a booker? That's the person?
Well, so let's look at a few key roles. So are you getting enough PR? That's one potential. 2, is your brand a little too mom and pop, or can it be elevated? That would be someone maybe more in marketing. Are you doing tactical enough advertising? That might be someone more in advertising, and managing the advertising. Like, so it's the difference between a PR person and a brand manager, and maybe a tactical advertiser type person.
So that's why you're here. Help me figure it out.
Right. Just do you have connections with the right talent for booking on your channel and you being placed on theirs? Right. So there's like 4 key roles. Which of these key roles would have you see the most amount of lift in your business?
I don't know. I think in terms of marketing the brand, if there was so the YouTube course coming out is something that needs to be marketed. I want it to be a highly successful and profitable course.
Right, but that's to generate money. Does that help you get on the road to 10 million? Does that get Kanye in the seat across from you? Or are you sitting across from Oprah?
The YouTube course probably doesn't get me to Oprah, but helps build things out, right? I mean, the book is the next one. Mm-hmm. That's then going to come out in January. We're going to be doing a tour around it. Mm-hmm. So that I want to be successful. That would be more traditional PR in terms of getting on people's shows and everything. Right now, I'm not focused on, maybe I should be, on shows. We have people, I have someone who's booking people on my show who come on and we do Instagram Live, and we had people, Dean Graziosi and Ed Milet, and
but is that booker being driven by you saying, hey, I need Dean, find him, reach out to him and connect me? Or is that person coming to you and saying, listen, I've looked at the marketplace and you need to be on Dean's show. And here's the angle, and here's what we're going to do, and here's how I'm going to pitch it. I'm going to get you on his show.
It's not me on Dean's show, it's Dean on my show.
Right. But why aren't you on Dean's show?
No, okay. I don't have that person. Or I don't have a high level person to do that, and I haven't trained anybody to go off and do it. I don't know. I don't have anything to pitch. It could just be a brand building exercise, and maybe that's a strategy. Like around my book, it makes sense to call in some chits and say, hey, I've got my book. I want to come on and talk about the book. Mm-hmm. As opposed to just going on for no reason. I mean, there's always brand building and spreading the believe message, which I'm always happy to do. But I haven't called in anything to say, hey, have me on to talk about something.
And see, this is an interesting thing, because you are so efficient, tactical, focused. Now you do lots of stuff that falls outside of that, where you allow for magic to happen. You know, you create the top 10 rules by having some fun, and magic happens. You know, you go on your tour because you want to, you know, do this nice thing for your wife, and magic happens. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there are lots of other things. There are lots of other, like when it comes to staffing, or like you just said, like, I don't have the person, I haven't trained the person. But you're not going to stop and take the 3 months it takes to find the person, build the system, train the person, let them make mistakes, and do all of this stuff. When if we needed more connections to get you on more shows, the best way to approach that would be to bring on someone ante up, pay the investment that you need to, set the KPIs, make sure that they're doing it, and hire someone who will, again, treat you as the product and sell you into the new markets that you need to go into. Like if you were your agent's only client, then you would see a tremendous amount of boost, because they would spend all day, every day pitching you, selling you, and growing you, right? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is if not the next step, a step that you're going to have to take in the areas of your brand, your advertising, your PR, and your bookings.
Okay, so PR.
But I don't know yet if you agree or disagree with me. You're saying okay, but do you agree or disagree with me?
I'm following the chain.
Okay.
Right, we're having a conversation. There's the strategy, and then there's the execution of the strategy. Even yesterday, when I'm talking about my YouTube course, I say, hey, Mark, you guys do digital marketing. Do you want to help me market my YouTube course? And we'd be looking at a pretty sizable budget to go make that happen. Can we hit these numbers? Do you want to do it? And that is going to somebody who, it's not hiring somebody local and training them how to do Facebook ads and figuring out. It's going to somebody who's among the best at doing this. And say, hey, what do you got?
Thank you. But there is even a difference in that, because we're going to work together on this YouTube course, on selling the course, on advertising the course, on building the course. I'm still reporting back to you. I'm still working with you. I'm still taking up your time. Whereas if you had a dedicated brand manager or even someone in charge of advertising your name, then this wouldn't take up any of your bandwidth at all. And so the advertiser is probably the least important person at this point, because you understand analytics, you understand how to play the game, you understand marketing and what have you. The areas in terms of going out and speaking more and being better known and being invited to more things and participating in more things, to me, comes down to PR, booking. And then when we look at your brand in terms of, the kind of mom and pop way you've approached moving to ClickFunnels, or your website, the way that we're leveraging landing pages, or what we're doing, everything is very, very small, and it's not as large as it can be. It's not as holistic as it can be. It's not, I don't know from a design point of view if it's at a level that's necessarily impressive. And I know you like it. I'm not trying to be insulting. It's just, back in October when we were looking at your brand and talking about your website, I looked through your photography, all of your photography, and it's kind of a little all over the place. And it's not as much, like, you do so many things in the world and you go to so many places, and yet it's not represented visually. The scope of what you do isn't represented visually. So because I'm a marketer and because I'm more focused on design and other things, I believe that credibility is built in all of these little areas. So having great visuals of you in a lot of larger locations instantly adds credibility, and having more consistency adds credibility. Having a larger platform, like digital platform, and consistency across the brand certainly helps. So you've built it up in YouTube, but there are just a lot of ways where we could elevate your brand. And so PR, bookings, brand, the real thing that I'm pushing on, though, is
PR the same thing as bookings? PR is like, you want me to get on people's shows? Is that what you're talking about? Or bookings is you want me to get on people's shows?
Yeah, I mean, you can use any. Yeah, it could be the same thing. It's the reason why I'm saying it's a bit different. Yeah, let's say that PR is someone, your publicist, pushing to have you on other people's things, and bookings is finding the talent and having them come to you.
Oh, bookings is on my show. Okay.
Yeah, your content, your show. Because those are two different skill sets And I mean, maybe it's a similar skill set, two different focuses, but you know, it bothers me that you can have Tom on your channel, but you're not on Tom's channel. There's like a perceived difference in value there.
Okay.
Right. And so it's great. It's great that you can get people on your channel, but you should be powerful enough to be on theirs.
Sure. Yeah.
And so the real push that I'm suggesting though is that you get comfortable finding people who are experts in each of maybe these 2 or 3 fields, bringing them on full time, and investing the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you need to invest to build out this team of people around you. Because at a certain point, everybody who's you know doing this is investing.
Everybody who's doing it is investing? You mean that's their role?
Investing in their team.
Oh, I see. Everybody who looks like me, like if you're looking at Tony or Tom or whatever. Got it.
Of course. You've gotten so much further with so much less. But the next leap, you know, is not through incremental growth of hiring people below you, training them, building systems. It's bringing on the person who says, Evan, like, I've done this before. I've done this many times before. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to lead it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
But that role, you're looking specifically at the most important thing that Mark Drager thinks I'm missing is me being on other people's shows.
Yes. So that, and that's, I know that's either because your agents aren't pushing you, or you don't have a relationship where they're booking you onto that, like what a publicist might do or something like that, or you have trained them not to push you because you just simply don't want to take the time to travel or to go and do it or to speak or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I haven't made a priority, and I haven't asked. I mean, I'm going to be on, here's an example. I'm going to be on, Jordan Belfort asked me to be on his show.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to just fly to California just to be on the show. So I'm pairing it with, no, ultimately I might have, like that was the only day, maybe I go, but I'm going to LA for some other event, a video YouTube event. So I'm going a day early, going to go on Jordan's show and then do my speaking thing in LA. I could go do more for guys like Tom and the other guys. I haven't asked. You know, I mean, I think the easiest thing for that is just me, because I have a relationship ready with these guys. But what you're saying is also beyond people who I know, right? Looking
beyond people who you know, starting to build momentum, starting to break into new markets of people who don't know you outside of the little kind of not bubble, but collection of people who know you. Mm-hmm. And so that is the activity of being able to go out, being willing to do it, put the effort into do it, the time and the investment into doing it, and having someone to lead that. But then the next pillar is upping the quality and the standards of our brand and how we're perceived. So that way, when people do take a look at us, we're operating at a level, at the very least, where other people in the industry are operating at, and being comfortable with that. And then
specifically what, on website?
Website, photography, even little things like, and maybe like, I'm interested in your thoughts on this, but even, you know, like Thursdays you do the Toronto meetup, and I know that you film the Toronto meetups, but even the location where you do it at TDS, where everyone, I just watched a video where everyone was sitting, whereas previous weeks people were standing, and you're facing them.
Yeah. And
just the way it's shot, the way it's lit, the way the sound is a little crackly, the lack of engagement, and the people, you know, some people are into it and some people aren't. It just doesn't give the perception that you are commanding the room and you're driving as much value as you're driving. It's just kind of a basic location with people not that engaged, and you're doing your job, right? Sure. You are doing your job. You are saying the right things, and you're saying it with passion, and you are changing these people's lives. It's just kind of like, in the way that it comes across. And that's like, and now you put out a ton of content. Sure. And so taking the content from that event and packaging it to make it have the level that would really knock it out of the park takes hours, it takes time, it takes team, it takes all of those things. So this is the, quality over quantity issue that a lot of people run into. But I can see us elevating the brand in terms of, what you're releasing and how you're, and even just putting that lens on it. Like if I were on your team, if I were you were my product, I wouldn't let that stuff go out. It feels too low quality for what you have done in your career. You may be comfortable speaking in front of a group of 20 people in a really tiny room, but if you were my product, I would be worried about how that makes you look, because you should command a much larger audience. Or if you were, I was watching a clip of Gary from 2009, and it was interesting because they released the clip of 2009 a long time ago, and he was speaking in maybe a 400 or 500 seat auditorium where maybe there were like 100 people there. Okay. And the instant thing is I went, holy smokes, like he's speaking to an empty room. Don't people know how great this is? And then I had to remind myself it was 2009. So it could be positioned to show the progression of it. But I don't think you should be speaking to half empty rooms. I don't think there should be empty seats there. I think I would want to control that. I would want to say no, I would want to control the perception of it. So this could be perceived as like being inauthentic or playing the game or whatever it is.
How about we get more people in the room? Like the marketing efforts to promote it could be better so that you have 100 people there or whatever.
Yeah. Or change the way it's shot, right? Don't shoot everything on sticks, shoot things more handheld, shoot things from behind the crowd. So that way there's actually depth and layering, and it looks like, and it's more of an angle of people, speaking to you. It might be, rather than shooting this whole thing with 3 cameras and only one person, you always have to bring out 3 people, and you need to, we were at Tony Robbins. The production quality at the event is out of this world.
Huge. Yeah.
Out of this world. And so, it's not that we need to go in and invest millions. It's just the PR person should be doing the thinking for you, so you're not driving it. Your brand manager, or the person who's managing your brand, if it's not you, should be holding everything to a much higher standards and ensuring that things hit that before being released, thinking about how it will be perceived and turning you into the person that they want you to be. And, maybe at this point, the booking actually isn't that important, but the booking person should be able to look ahead, do the research, spot the opportunities, understand what's happening, and how booking people onto your show to elevate the quality of a show. Because those who are willing, ultimately, if you reach out to people and they're like not interested or no, that says something about the perception of any of the content or shows that you produce. And so we all start small and we all build up, but where are those gets? Like when I was in television, I remember the producers being excited about getting a get. Like it is amazing that we were able to get this person because it was a really big ask, and there's an excitement there. There should be that focus for building up the quality of your guests, and you already have great connections. But outside of those, you have your 20 people that you're looking to go after. Each one of those is a huge get, but we just need to up our standards across all these different areas to ensure that the perception is much higher about who you are. You're not just the guy who decided to run a YouTube channel, right? You are the person who spreads belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess. So how am I hearing what you're saying?
Like tactically, like what are next steps? If I were you, I would look at those 3 areas and see which part would investing a significant amount of money instantly boost for you.
I struggle that any of that is worth it.
Right. I know. That's why I said this is a philosophical thing.
Yeah. I think like the difference between having Danny shoot the video and having to go up or having 3 people shoot the video and edit it with the sequence and all that, I don't think it's worth it.
I know. And that's, and that is the very issue. That's why when you said like, okay, well, what do I do? This is a philosophical outlook, right? You know, I'm not saying that we have to over-invest in things, because Danny could shoot this alone even. But the way Danny shoots is he shoots a lot on sticks, so on tripods. A lot of things are static. He likes to try and get more coverage, and so it means that a lot of things are more static. Whereas the way that I shoot with Jason, for example, who was on my team, is I never wanted him on sticks at all, because I always wanted this fluidity and dynamic movement, and I always wanted to allow for it to feel like it was a much bigger room than it really is. You know, if I'm speaking to 4 people, but I want it to feel like a bigger room, then I would shoot everything from behind the people, so their silhouette, and it sees and has me talking to them with this kind of floating nature, and it feels more dynamic. It feels more in the moment, because I'm thinking about the fact that if I show that the room is empty, that brings down my perceived value. So I know that with a lot of things you do, you don't see the value of investing it, because statistically, it's very hard to prove. Scientifically, it's hard to prove that any of this is really worth the money or matters. And a lot of people invest improperly. But if you're moving to the next level in your perceived value, tightening up these things makes a big difference.
I think I'm looking for the bridge. I mean, I went to a successful YouTuber in the entrepreneur space. He, you know, I guess without saying names or specifics, but setting up his studio, he spent $1 million in his studio.
And it looks terrible.
What's that?
And it looks terrible.
Well, whatever. Better than just my first videos.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. So that's what I don't want to do. And so what's the bridge? What's the bridge? I know you're not saying, hey, go spend $1 million on one person who's going to crush it for you. I know that's not what you're saying.
No,
I'm trying to figure out the bridge to get to where we need to go. I work with Tony's team, his PR people. It's not dedicated to him either, right? I mean, these are organizations. Most people have an agent. It's not just to one person. The agency represents multiple people. They're experts at the thing, not dedicated.
So maybe the first step is on the PR side, is being more open and saying, like, opening up the tap and saying, I'm going to speak more. I'm going to go out and be on more things. I'm more willing to focus my time and energy on this. Go find me these things, because you already have the agents and you already have the relationships. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the next first step. On your brand side, ultimately, I would say across the board, your standards could be raised. And I don't know if you will nitpick or care enough about them, but finding someone with a similar sensibility to what you have and a similar taste, but someone to hold maybe the brand or technical side of things more accountable would be cheaper than hiring just a brand manager, because all that brand manager is going to do is hire other people anyway. But it's hard because I think, again, the real issue is you just don't fundamentally agree in spending money in this way, and increasing your payroll, and building out departments and putting someone in, like someone to own that as their own little business, I believe is the next step for you. That brand manager could be also considered like a creative director, or it could be someone more technical, or it could be someone, more on the project management side, just to help lead things through properly. It's however you want to structure the internal parts of your business. I'm just suggesting that there are different parts of your business where you need to be the product and you need them to own it. And it's not them turning to you all the time and you teaching them all the time. It's you bringing in someone who can, 2 or 3 weeks in, start to do what it is they do.
Yeah. I'm just thinking through how to do it. I mean, I think PR is easy enough. I think around the book, especially, there's a message to then go out and pitch and drum up some attention for, especially when I'm on the tour and doing stops in all these cities. What are we doing that's local that somebody is there that we might be able to do something with? The branding and advertising and marketing side, I don't know who that person is or agency is. Maybe it's Fanta, maybe it's somebody else. I actually don't want to be super involved in the tactics of it. Because that's not, I can be great at it, but I don't want to be spending my time on it. Facebook ads and that kind of stuff. I realized on my flight to Dallas. That's why I messaged you about the YouTube course. Like, dude, do you want to do it? Can you just take over the whole thing? Can we make it a feasible model that works for everybody? That's a step up, because I wouldn't have done something like that, right? Like that's a sizable investment in working with somebody who hopefully knows what they're doing versus what I would do normally, right? The full-time creative director, I have to wrap my head around it a little bit more.
It's just about, in each of these areas, having someone with the experience and higher standards that you have that care more about it. That's it. That's it. It's paying the money to the people who have the experience and care more about it, because you don't really care about it that much.
I've never seen it. Like, I've never seen it. I work with all these guys and their team mostly is not fantastic.
Sure. Because they don't care about it either. They don't care about it either. Yeah, but look outside of speakers and look more at like maybe the entertainment industry, right? So these people are artists, like forget entertainment, music, right? You get these artists who are really good at their craft and they get signed by a record label or something. But the record label,
full-time people just for them? I don't think so.
They do.
I don't think that's a model.
They'll build a team of 3 or 4 core people around them. Yeah, they have their business manager. But they have the person.
They have their agent. They have their PR person. They have their, but it's all.
They have their PR publicist. They have their business manager, who handles maybe not the PR publicist, but if you're big enough, they would. And the business managers certainly, when you hit a certain level, is your business manager all of the time.
I don't think they have. Look at a Scooter Braun or whatever, who's with Justin Bieber and all these guys. He manages multiple people.
Okay.
I mean, it's still to your point of, hey, go get the Scooter Braun of your thing. Go get the Scooter Braun of PR, whether that's a in-house person or somebody who you're working with. Because there's
I mean, they basically have their team of experts on staff. And like I'm the total opposite, right? Like I've always wanted to run my businesses by, like, I am top heavy and bottom light. Because I love surrounding myself with people who are expensive and I feel like are good at like their craft and can just run with things. They're hard to find, but you have always approached everything from the like, let's try it, perfect. I'm going to do it myself. I'm not going to spend any money on it. Oh, it's fantastic. It's going to work. I'm going to hire someone who can kind of replicate. I'm going to build a system and go. So this is a shift that you may not even be good at. Like, you just don't run businesses this way, so you may not be good at it. But this is what I'm saying. I believe the next challenge is for you.
So PR1, I get it. Me on other shows.
Yes.
Speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And then bookings maybe, but branding.
Maybe.
Branding is more website.
It's raising the standards of everything you put out.
Is that the creative director? Is that what you're saying? Is that a marketing agency?
It could be a creative director. It could be what's known as like a brand manager. More in like kind of, so the creative director is more on like the agency side, but the person responsible for making sure what you put out is the quality and makes sense and is the right thing you need to do. On the company side, it's called a brand manager, and they're responsible for making sure that everything that's put out is the right thing that it needs to do. What would it be in your world?
I mean, you're looking at my videos, you're looking at my social media posts, and you're looking at my website.
Your photography, but even the type of decision, like when your publisher's like, hey, we need a photo for the back of your book. Like, your publisher shouldn't be deciding what the right photo is for you. I don't know if you care enough, Evan, about deciding what the right photo is for you, but someone should be scrutinizing that opportunity. Like, what is the right photo, and where should you be, and what should it say, and what should it feel like, and what does it need to convey? And so the other day, you're like, hey, Mark, we need a photo together. And like, I'm kind of worrying about all these things. Every time that anyone asks me for anything, I am worried about how will it be used, and who is it for, and how long will it be used, and what will it say, and is it better to look a little bit more grassroots or a little bit more polished, and how does it position it? Like, I just naturally can't help myself but worrying about and thinking about all of these things. And so call them whatever you want, but all of the areas that you focus on totally different things. You focus about how it feels. And so if you think about that balance between that person caring about all the things that you don't really care about, and you are certainly going to care about a whole bunch of stuff that they overlook, but you just don't value those things. But there are lots of people in the world who do value them.
Right. Yeah.
And so elevating your brand.
Talking about it like, oh man, that feels so staged and awkward, and I hate it.
Right. And so you will never do it.
Yeah, I won't care about it. I don't care what the picture looks like.
But it's important.
Right.
You tell the story all the time about the photographer who says, hey, I'm going to lay down on the floor and make sure you hit this point of the stage at a certain time. Right. But every time you speak and everywhere you go, there is that opportunity. And once you have them, it will be leveraged in the ecosystem that you're building.
Okay.
That's why if you're not going to care about it, it's
what
important that you have someone who does.
Photography website? Oh, and social.
Yeah, like on Instagram, you were maybe 3 months ago or something, you were putting out posts that had a quote from you with a stock photo of, I think, an Asian person. And then it said Evan Carmichael. And I was like, what are you doing? Like this, like, and I know it was a test or whatever, but I was like, this is so confusing to me.
Okay.
That if this came across my desk, I would literally be like, what the hell what is going on here? Like, who thought this was a good idea? This makes no sense at all. And so that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is this what you wanted to talk about today?
Yeah. Hey, raising the stakes, raising the standards. Cool. It makes more sense. We got specific.
I don't know if you believe me or not, but.
No, I do. I need to battle the authenticity piece. I need to battle the commitment part, and then how do I step into it so that it makes sense?
The authenticity thing is huge. Maybe we should address that in future conversations, or maybe with Tess, you should address that. Because I remember going to New York with you, and I brought a camera with you, and I would say 80% of the photos that I tried to take of you, you ruined on purpose. You stick out your tongue, you throw your, you give weird looks.
I will. Well, I'm almost. I like to sabotage things, but mostly I don't. Like, I'm on the verge of sabotaging. I was just having fun with you, but
okay.
If you were there saying, Evan, like, stand here and do this, and like look out there and look,
I'm not a great photography director, because actually going out on the streets, I get really self-conscious and nervous.
Right? I mean, I just let them do their thing, right? But when Danny's micing me up, yesterday we had our Q&A, he's micing me up, and I don't care how he's put, I don't care. I want good audio, but he has to put the microphone on, and when he's taking it off, I'm just talking to somebody, and he's like reaching down my shirt and like, do your thing. I'll need to have to stand up and say, like, dude, this feels, it's about just getting on the same page with the person. I don't want to do, I'll always fight a little bit against it. I think, but.
Right. And that's why early on, if we're talking about technical, I said sensibility is important. I've learned that it's not about taste. It's not about any of those types of things, but you do have to be aligned. Like, you and I have totally different sensibilities when it comes to what things should look like or feel like or things. Because anytime that we try to design something together, I'm always like, wow, like everything that I'm leaning towards, you hate. And so that would be something that would be very hard to like work with all day, every day. You'd have to say, okay, Mark, I'm going to just follow what you're good with, or you're going to have to try and train me somehow to like what you like. But
yeah.
And because I hire a lot of creative people, I understand the importance of sensibility. But yeah, I mean, you need someone who has a similar sensibility to you, but just cares about the things that you don't care about and has a much higher standard.
Okay.
Can't wait to see you do it.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Appreciate the time, Mr. Draeger. Thank you for the love. People want to find you. Where are they going? Fanta.com?
Yeah, they can go Fanta.com. They can go onto Instagram, life at Fanta. Fanta's Phanta.
We'll put the link in the description below too. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Evan. Appreciate you too, man.
If you want more Evan and Mark Draeger, check out the podcast that we do together. The most recent video is linked right there. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.